Surfrom17 once again. This is my Battlefield 4 hard difficulty walkthrough. We're on mission 3, this is the South China Sea, and that rhymes. So we're in a boat, an interesting dinghy, and we're moving towards another aircraft carrier. You'll notice that if you've been playing this level, there was a whole host of walking around and talking, and finding your team and learning and exposition, and here's a storyline about a coup d'etat in China that's as thin as it gets, and pretty much doesn't really pay off all that well at the end. But I trimmed it out because this is a guide on gameplay, not on how to watch cutscenes. Did you see that just then? This really bugs me, this. I think the water in this game looks horrible. I do. In the grand scheme of things, it looks better than some, but I just don't think it looks very nice at all. And much like I don't like the lighting here at all. This looks shit. It looks absolutely shit, the lighting here. And you're going to see a massive jump to how it should look as opposed to how it looks now, because this is me. I don't know what's going on, but it looks atrocious. It's really bad. Bleh. But anyhow, the boat was skimming on the surface. You saw it just then again. And it's going under the sea, and the sea is being generated in the boat. This is 2013, guys. 2013 and that type of shit's still happening. I don't get that. It looks really, really bad. There's a couple of moments in this game where it just makes me wonder, what the fuck were they doing? Is it that difficult to keep that geometry from showing through the boat? And I know they had to, animate it bouncing on the waves and stuff, but I've played a lot of games where I've been in a boat and I have never seen the water in the boat like that. It just seems really amateurish. And for a company that's been making games for a long time, I don't get that. I really don't. It's not cool. But this is one of the longest missions in the game, and it has a massive sequence of shooting in a gunboat later on, which is quite interesting. Not the most fun if you don't like, vehicular combat, but it's not too bad, and it's pretty simple too, so that should be okay. But for the most, this is just traversing through this environment and getting shit done. But in the previous video I was talking about difficulty, and I didn't finish my thought on it because I get distracted, as you can tell, and I go on tangents, and tangents lead into other tangents, and I forget what the original tangent was because I'm too busy deep down a completely different rabbit hole. And that is one of the curses of sitting here pressing record and just talking. I don't have a plan, I don't have a scheme, none of this is written down or scripted. It's just, let's see what happens, and hopefully it's okay. But I was trying to think as to why first-person shooters in general have been getting easier each game that's released since this generation. And it's a difficult thing to analyse, and it's a difficult thing to even think you're on the right lines, because I don't know if I am with a lot of my speculation. Like, games get more accessible, they get easier. Is that the reason? Is it because we've made games now that anybody can feasibly play, that we've tailored them to the lowest common denominator, that difficulty has just been a necessary sacrifice? I'm not too sure. I don't think that is necessarily true. I think you can have an accessible game, and I still think it can be devilishly hard. A great example of this is Super Meat Boy. That is a game that is one button to do anything. It's platforming, it's jumping, it's timing, it's precision, and it controls really, really well. And on the surface, it looks easy and simple, but you get far enough in that game and it is brutal. It is completely brutal. It's a mastery of those mechanics that is needed, with wicked timing, wicked precision, just skills, a lot of skills to get, especially some of the achievements. If you want to get full on that game, you have to be great at it, which is what achievements should be. So I don't think this notion that accessibility kills challenge, because I don't think it has to be that way. That being said, I don't think it doesn't remove some challenge in certain environments. Certain games are so accessible that the challenge has gone. This could be one of those games. They've made this appeal more to the popcorn eating, action game, constant linear sequence of explosions, to appeal to a wider audience. And a lot of the people that played Battlefield from the early games, where it was just a 9 million mile long field and there were vehicles all over it in houses and there was no waypoint because you were expected to just go where you wanted to go and figure it out. So you might have lost a lot of those players with the way that this game is handled, with these moments here of exposition and scripting and sequences. But at the same time, you've got the new kids, the new people who are interested. Maybe some of the Call of Duty crowd, heaven forbid. And it is interesting watching DICE, change, because I hated Bad Company's campaign. I absolutely abhorred it. I really did. It was... If you'd never played it, the checkpoints were weird, because you had this pen that was... I assume it was like an EpiPen, some kind of adrenaline shot, which was a healing item. So when you were losing life, you could literally just run with the pen on and keep stabbing yourself in the chest to get life back. But if you died, it'd put you back 7 cities away, or 900 bazillion miles. And it frustrated me to death, it really did. It was just really massive expanses, and lots of driving, and lots of travelling, and that's just not my thing at all. So I never really enjoyed those campaigns. The second one was better for me because it was more linear, and then Battlefield 3 was much better because it was much more like a campaign I was used to being structured. But if you were one of those Battlefield guys that liked that early stuff, those Bad Company campaigns, and even the earlier Battlefields, Battlefield 2 and is it 1949 or whatever that other one is, then you probably hated it because it was so different to what you were used to. But accessibility doesn't have to kill the game. An inaccessible game can kill a game. It's such an interesting thing, because I think stats probably play more into it than anything else. This is the first piece of combat in this sequence. I'm using a P90 with a terrible sight. I really do not like the sight. This here is when you change the optics. I don't know if that was in Battlefield 3, but in this game it kept popping up on the screen as a little help tab saying, you can change your scope to have a different scope if you want to by pressing this button. And thus I promptly turned that system off because I hated it. Because it kept on popping up. I was halfway through the game on the hardest difficulty and it was telling me how to put a fucking scope on. It was really annoying. But keep your distance, pepper them, or get close if you've got a weapon that suits that, and just do your thing. But so strange, the aiming on this game. Very interesting. I'm very curious to see what the multiplayer is like too, because I tried it last night and I didn't have the most recent patch, so it wouldn't even find servers with players in them. So I was running around a server on my own, which was kind of weird. But I've been playing around with a sniper rifle, because on Bad Company 2, I was a sniper, and I loved it. And I haven't been a sniper in a game for a long time, mainly because snipers are hated. I think we can all agree we kind of hate snipers, and there's a good reason for it, because it's generally that really selfish person who sits 9 miles away from any kind of objective and then finishes the game with 3 kills, because all he's done is sit a mile away trying to shoot at people, and he's not a very good sniper. And when you have a team full of those people, you lose. You do. But on Bad Company 2, a good sniper could really put a hurt on the other team. They could bring vehicles down, they could stop them from having anti-air, they could do a lot of good stuff. And then when all else failed, you could just mortar strike the tits out of the place, throw your sensors, and then rush in with your pistol. And you could get those MCOM stations, and that's what I did. I led lobbies as a sniper, and I really miss it. I really miss that feeling of supporting my friends at the time as they were rushing in a base. Like, they're in jeeps. This is where I died, guys. You need to be careful here. To your right, there's a jet that's going to slide down. You see him? There's a couple that do it. And if you're anywhere near it, it'll kill you instantly. There's no damage, there's no nothing, it's just death. Another thing to bear in mind on this sequence, to your left there's a hostile tank, aircraft carrier that fires missiles onto this one. And I have absolutely no idea the justification for it. Actually, it might not be the other carrier. It might just be a guy with a grenade launcher. Oh no, it's the carrier. Did you see it just then? Grenade launcher guy down there, and the carrier as well. So there's a lot of stuff exploding, and you need to be really careful. And you remember how I said earlier that it kept popping up with how to play the game all the time? That's one there. telling me how to toggle fire modes when I'm using single shot. I'm using single shot on a fully automatic rifle. I changed it to single shot, and yet the game is still telling me how to do it. That bothered me so much. Can't even begin to tell you how much that was pissing me off at the time. But as I was saying before, I warned you of the threat of impending and imposing planes. Before my friends rushed in on maps like Isle of Innocentes and Valparaiso on the second and third push, before the choppers went anywhere near it, or the vehicles rushed in, or the tanks rushed in and all that kind of good stuff, I would have already been set up, because I'd have sprinted forward at the beginning. And I would already be checking the dude on the anti-tank guided missile thing. If he was there, that was an instant headshot kill, dead. Check the other side for the anti-air guns, and it would just be this scenario of they would be too afraid to get on the guns that when our vehicles went in, they had free reign. The only thing that they had to watch out for is if any engineers put down mines, or if anybody was running around Ramboing it with C4 and bazookas, which a lot of people did. So there was just this really interesting symbiosis of, if they were ever in trouble, boom, they could be supported. And if we needed a push or we needed a presence, I was never afraid to run forward, because I like to play as a team on Battlefield. But Battlefield 3 came along and I hated it. It just didn't play the same, and the sniper class on that, you had to get kills to get a scope. So you started with a really shitty rifle that didn't kill anything, and then you had to play as it a whole bunch just to get yourself an optic, and I never did, because I hated it. The first rifle on Bad Company 2 was enough to kill anybody. Like, I could go to town and do some serious work with that rifle, but not on 3. So I'm really excited to see what it's like. And I'm probably going to do that later on today, because I'm really excited. And I'm under no illusion I'll probably get shit stomped until I acclimatise to the game. But one thing I've noticed by playing in the testing grounds is the bullet drop on the sniper rifle's nowhere near the same as it was in Bad Company 2, and that's kind of sad. It doesn't seem to be a case of distance having to compensate for the aim. What it does, though, is the travel time seems to be what's the big effect. So instead of having to aim upwards quite a lot to compensate for the drop of the bullet, it's more a thing of, if they're moving, you have to compensate massively for the travel time of the bullet. And that was the only difference I saw. And I was shooting at pylons to test this, and I was about a mile away from the second one I tried to shoot, and I don't know if it wasn't just rendering the bullet hole or I was too far away to see the bullet hole, but regardless of how I aimed at it, I could not hit it for the life of me. It was weird. Well, I'll cover that in the multiplayer stuff I do. This sequence here is literally kill a bunch of boats until a chopper shows up and then kill the chopper. And what happens is you get 2 shots with your cannon, and then you have to wait for it to reload, and it takes an eternity to reload, so you want to immediately swap to your machine gun and start machine gunning. One of the things that's a little bit frustrating about this sequence is the torpedoes that this boat fires have a tendency to miss. They're very good when they land, but you only have 2, and if they can miss, it's kind of a pain in the ass that they would be so fickle. So, a lot of the time, shooting with the assault rifle is the best way to do it. Something that I think you can toggle in the options, which I'm going to have to do though, is when you aim with the left trigger to zoom in like this, it's toggle, it's not hold, and it really throws me off, so I need to try and adjust that, because I hate toggle. If anybody played the original Resistance on PlayStation 3, the aiming in that game is toggle and you can't change it. So instead of holding a button to look down sights, you have to press the button and then press the button to get out of it, and it's the most counterintuitive thing since Rainbow Six Vegas right analog to zoom, fucking Halo style. I hate that. And speaking of Rainbow Six Vegas, that game came out at the beginning life of the Xbox 360. And yet, games in its direct competitors like Call of Duty, like Battlefield, are only just catching up to the things it's doing. Black Ops 2 allowed you to change your weapons and their accessories and what you used and everything when you played the campaign. Really cool idea, really cool notion, fantastic. Rainbow Six had it 10 years ago. This game allows you to pick your guns and play back through it, but you can't change accessories. You can't change accessories, really? Rainbow Six had it back 10 years ago, whenever it came out. And this is Ubisoft, a team that hasn't really dabbled too much in first-person shooters aside from that series, which has got quite a lot of entries in it, but in the grand scheme of, all the big ones that we hear about, you don't really hear too much about Rainbow Six anymore, which is kind of a shame, even though that Patriots is still coming, apparently. But that's the end of the first part of South China Sea. I'll see you in part 2. So thank you for watching, and you take care now.